think in college coaching, there are the real ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there are the actors.
Yes.
And today you present a great version of the actor.
Yes, the Leonardo DiCaprio
Yes.
of college basketball. A complete and total phony. Can at least try to make people believe anything that they want. And Nate Oats is not Leo, let me tell you that. He's not that great of an actor. I see right through this guy. Nate Oats is a phony. He's a phony of the highest order, and he is contributing to what is totally wrong with college sports right now. Because what we have is a lot of grown men who will sit behind a podium at a press conference or say something in an interview about, we have got to start caring about the future of college athletics. We have got to be forward-thinking on what we're doing to high school athletes and their lack of opportunities now when we just go out. John Calipari had a great rant about this, saying the future of college basketball, programs like Arkansas or Kentucky or UConn or Michigan or go down the list, they're not going to recruit high school players. They're going to go recruit the bench of the G League. They're going to go recruit European professionals. They're going to go to the 12th guy on the NBA roster and offer them $3 million to come play for a year and try to win a national title. That's where we're headed with all of this. And it's wrong. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for high school athletes trying to get an opportunity. It's not the college basketball that we knew. And what pisses me off more than anything else about Nate Oats is his insistence that he wants to talk about, I was a high school basketball coach, including in this interview a couple weeks ago on SiriusXM College.
Gonna have to if they're eligible and somebody else is gonna get them. Like I wouldn't say I'd be one of the guys that was necessarily for it to begin with, because I do think it's taken away opportunities from kids coming out of high school. That I was a high school coach for 11 years. I wanted my kids to get opportunities when they left my program. This is taking opportunities away from those kids, but on a competitive level, if it's allowable and they're going to be eligible to play and they're the better players you can get, then you probably got to go after them.
There's Nate Oats. Hey, gee golly, I'm not for it. I'm a good guy here. I coached high school basketball at Romulus High School up in Michigan for 11 years. I don't want to take away high school opportunities from those high school children. Gee golly, I wouldn't want to do that. But, I mean, if they're going to allow it, I guess I got to look at it. If it's going to help improve my 67th ranked defense and efficiency, then might as well go out and do it. And join the crowd. If you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. Nate Oats stands for one thing and one thing only. Nate Oats. Nate Oats wants to win a national title. Nate Oats wants to get to a Final Four. Nate Oats wants to keep his job at Alabama and maybe go get another one that he wants one day for as much money as possible. So what is Nate Oats going to do? Well, gee golly, I don't like that they're taking opportunities from high school kids. Hell, I was a high school coach. But you know what? Let's go get a guy who hadn't played college basketball in 3 years and try to sign him. And that's where the Charles Bediako case comes in. Temporary restraining order. Bediako was afforded. He's going to get his day in court next Tuesday. But he is eligible right now, based on the TRO, to play Saturday night against Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. This is a farce. Nate Oats, a guy who once did not sit Brandon Miller a second after he was linked to a murder that happened in Tuscaloosa, is the same guy that's going to sit here and tell us, I was a high school coach for 11 years and I don't stand for it, but I guess if courts are going to allow it, I guess if we can get the Tuscaloosa district judge to grant a TRO, then yeah, let's go get him to block some shots on Saturday night for our team in a chance to beat a team that we haven't had very much success with in Tennessee. This is ridiculous. Everybody knows it's ridiculous. Very few people are willing to take a stand with this. Mark Pope had thoughts after his team beat Texas last night on this current situation.
At some point, I don't have hard feelings towards anybody making any decision, because every single college program and college coach are the most competitive people in the world. They're going to try and find any avenue they can to find an advantage. It's what we're paid to do. It's what we do. The one stopgap that is kind of spreading right now that maybe has some legs, it's kind of a last stand, is the NCAA does get to decide who gets to go to the NCAA tournament. Like, they get to decide that. They have that power. And so at some point, when they've been very, very clear about what the rules that they're going to try and enforce, they might lose in court, but they still get to decide what games count towards the NCAA tournament. And I'm not saying that to penalize any team. I'm just saying that because at some point it is important that we take a stand and regain some tiny ounce of sanity. And until someone tells me different, I still believe the NCAA has full power over who gets in the NCAA tournament and what games they count towards your NCAA tournament bid. And at the end of the day, that is what drives all of us. So hopefully we'll take a stand there and clean this up for everybody. Because right now everybody is chasing their tails, and I think it's a place we can take a stand. I hope we will. This game matters too much. The NCAA tournament is too extraordinary a deal. These high school players and these young players and all these players matter too much.
So he's right. The NCAA does have full say on who gets in the NCAA tournament. Now, the problem with this, Hutton, is that the TRO stipulates the NCAA, because of this ruling, cannot say that this game is ineligible for consideration or rule someone ineligible while the TRO is in effect. So now what they could do is just lie about it.
Right.
And exclude Alabama or Baylor or Louisville or anyone else from the tournament. And then when it's all said and done, just say, hey, we're the NCAA. This is our tournament. We invite who we want to invite. They didn't win their conference championship, so they didn't get an automatic bid. And we elected as a governing body to not invite them. Now, that would probably lead to lawsuits and everything else. But to my knowledge, the NCAA, they've lost a lot in court. No one's ever sued them for not getting into the tournament and won. I think it's pretty foolproof that they have full say on who they invite to the tournament, and they'd be free of any litigation from that. So I think Mark Pope's right. If they really want to take a stand, then they decide we're not going to allow you in the tournament, anyone who's pulled this move, because they've repeatedly said, Hutton, this is not allowed. The NCAA rules, you cannot sign an NBA contract and go back and play. We are consistent on this, but if they're going to continue to go to the local courts and get the TRO, there's only so much we can do. What they can do is ban Alabama and anyone else who pulls this crap from the NCAA tournament.
Hey, if you like the channel, become a season ticket holder for Hot Mic by clicking the subscribe button below and join the conversation in the comments section. Agree, disagree, we'll join you there in the chat. Now back to Hot Mic. Okay, but here's the problem. The NCAA wants 124 teams played in the tournament. They don't want one less. And would they do this if it were Kentucky or Duke or North Carolina? Keep them out of the tournament same way?
If they really care about it, they would. They won't. Because a lot of people talk a lot about caring about it and won't do anything about it.
And then what do they do whenever there's 30 teams doing this? They just keep all 30 out, and then you have – you see what I'm saying? If you're really going to have that rule, you would have to enforce it across the board. And Nate Oats isn't going to be the only coach doing this. There are so many – this is a great discussion because of where it could lead. Because this guy declared for the draft 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, he played his first season was 2021, 2022, and then he played 2022, 2023. So he's still within his 5-year clock.
Sure. Because
he left after the 23 season. He also made a horrific decision. I'm reading a story from an NBA insider that said he had him highest on the list of any other analyst, and he was 71st. Well, they draft 62 players or 64. And he was never going to get drafted, and he left school early. And it's shown that he made a bad decision leaving school, and now we're going to award him by going to get paid money to go back to school after making a horrific decision.
And this was he did this prior to Bronny going to the draft.
Yeah,
he did have to try to think it was possible.
And one other thing, Hutton, on that with the how do you take a stand? And Mark Pope say, well, the NCAA could just not invite these teams to the tournament. That really hit them where it hurts. If they want it, there's 3 teams right now that have pulled it off: Baylor, Louisville, and now Alabama. Well, if they play Bediako on Saturday night, which they could if they wanted to right now based on the court order. The other thing that could happen is, I'll tell you a guy who's pretty respected in all college basketball circles is Rick Barnes. If Rick Barnes wanted to take a stand and say, yeah, we're not going to Alabama and playing because I'm taking a stand against this stuff in college basketball, and if we forfeit, we forfeit. We'll let the NCAA decide what happened in that game. But when they pick the tournament.
The rubber meets the road, though, here. I think you should look a level up. Nate Oats is doing this because he is expected to win and find the advantage.
That's what Mark Pope just said.
Exactly. That's what he said. That's what they're paid to do. That's where this starts, is the leadership that make up the overseers of the NCAA. that have qualified votes to change policy and rules and regulations. I mean, I look at it from, the NCAA would love to do something, but there's really nothing they can do. They're powerless because each individual program is doing this if they want to, despite the NCAA saying it's against their rules. And then you got the whole thing with, I like it in theory for Rick Barnes doing this, but the problem is this is a loyalty pledge. And Tennessee didn't want to sign it. The same version of this. And this was last offseason for each university and the athletic departments. I compared it to the abstinence pledge. Mm-hmm. This will continue to go on. Now, the high school element of this, Chad, do you think we could see this lead to high school players opting for the G League to then go to play college? And on that same note, do you think we see an influx of European players coming in?
So,
you see what I'm saying?
Yes. I mean, and John Calipari laid that out very well. He's like, now my job is suddenly to go.
Man.
I'm not evaluating high school talent. I'm evaluating 23-year-olds playing in the G League.
Yeah.
I'm evaluating guys who never went to college that are 27 playing in Europe. I'm evaluating the end of an NBA roster even. If a guy can make more money to go back and finish out his career that never went to college or has eligibility left. It's crazy to think about that world. Here's something else that comes up with this. And I thought it was a very good piece from The Athletic about this situation. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to quote directly from the story from The Athletic and New York Times. If the collegiate early entry date means nothing, a significant portion of players in the country should declare for the draft after their freshman year. Why? Because even if they go undrafted and they know they will, it's going to be advantageous if they broke out later in their college career.
Yep, great point.
This relationship, Hutton, about entry dates and when you can go to the NBA, this is very beneficial to both college basketball and the NBA. And they've had a good working relationship, even though they actually don't really have a working relationship. This would fly in the face of that. And an example the writer gives is Brandon Podziemski, who is a player for the Golden State Warriors. He was a Mr. Basketball in the state of Wisconsin. He played at Illinois for 1 year. After 1 year at Illinois, he was not going to get drafted. He had a bad first year. He transfers to Santa Clara. In Santa Clara, he ends up getting Santa Clara, I think, to the NCAA tournament or right there. But under this whole thing that we're doing right now, nothing would stop him on January 28th with Santa Clara at 16-7 from signing a free agent contract in the NBA when he's averaging 24 points a game instead of 10. He is free agent at that point based on this new rule. And based on the precedent we're setting, guys who were in college could leave their team midseason and not get drafted and just go sign an NBA contract. Because this works both ways. Do you see how this is a slippery slope?
And not even go to class.
Do you see how a guy who's in his sophomore year who's crushing it is saying, I'm never going to be better than I am right now, so I'm going to bolt from Michigan State in February because the Detroit Pistons need me? And they can sign me for whatever they want, and they have the rights to me. I can go pick my team because there's no draft now because I went undrafted. So every freshman in America
should do that. And
declares for the draft, goes undrafted, and they are an eternal free agent in college and can leave at any point in the season.
See, I wonder at that point, would the NBA get rid of the draft altogether?
I mean, I don't think that's going to happen.
And then you have the lottery signing the building.
I don't think that'll happen based on
like a waiver claim.
It's not going to happen because they're still going to draft freshmen, that are good enough.
So
and you got to have something to balance out the order of trying to create some level of balance of power and a competitive balance. But this is such a pivotal. I'm going back to the Damon Williams thing that we talked about. Mm-hmm. That was such a big deal, and Darian Mintz is going to be another one. Such a big deal for college football that Washington sued him and got him to come back. Or they threatened a lawsuit, and he came back. I think that's a good thing for college football. Charles Bediako, the best thing to happen for college basketball is he plays on Saturday, he plays the rest of the season, and the NCAA does not invite Alabama to the NCAA tournament.
No.
That would set the precedent that you can do this all you want with local judges, but we're not going to give you any reward for doing this.
So we've seen the NBA step in and have the one and done policy, right? And by the way, we should also throw out there the best player in America was a freshman straight out of college last year, right? So the 23-year-olds didn't compete with that guy with Flag.
Right.
But over the grand landscape of this, I think it'll be very similar to what we saw with Diego Pavia, but also where other players are trying to do the same thing and not winning in court.
Yeah.
But
the difference, though, is Cooper Flagg, Duke wins the national title if John Shire can go out and add 2 players from the G League late in the season for veteran depth.
So here's what
that's where it becomes tricky.
Here's where
you could still go get those older guys.
Here's where you can block it. It's in the contract with the G League where you can't do it contractually, because they're under a CBA, are they not?
They can't do it now. This is what the NCAA is saying. It's in our rules. If you sign any NBA contract, which G League is an NBA contract because it's a 2-way deal, Bediako signed 3 NBA contracts.
But the NCAA is also, they're saying it's a rule that in the courts, they're having the temporary restraining order in order to actually allow the time period to pass where he's going to play for the NCAA tournament and then bounce again.
The colleges, the programs themselves and the coaches are saying, screw you, NCAA. I'm going to do what I want. You're not going to do anything about it. So even though you're saying it's against the rules.
Can't you put that in a contract all together for the G League and say you can't then leave?
It's already there.
Well, the NCAA is there saying they can't do that.
You're saying
I'm saying on the reverse.
In their 2-way contract, could they do that?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
the
way to prevent it. And no different than a freshman having to go to school for a year prior to entering the draft. I tend to think that's where you could block it, but the NBA would have to step in.
And when the guy gets cut from the G League team, which Bediako is about to, because he's averaging 5 points per game and 2 rebounds,
then you can do it.
Then it's just now you're a free agent. Now I can go sign with Alabama. Go back and play college basketball.
Yeah. So, how temporary will this be?
Tuesday is the day in court. That's the scheduled day. So they could play him Saturday night. He could help them win that game. That would give them a nice win.
It's amazing.
For their resume. And then Tuesday he could be ruled ineligible. Now, if the NCAA wanted to come back, because they've already said publicly he's not eligible, then that game gets stricken from the record that he played in. If he plays a single second in that game, they could then say, because the court later ruled that it wasn't legal, that game, they could just strike that one for the record, or they could go as far as to say, Alabama, you played with an ineligible player, and we told you he was ineligible. You were not. You cannot play in postseason basketball. They could do that if they wanted to. I just don't think they will. Well, I think everyone postures on this, and they don't actually take the steps to make it right.
And from the NCAA's 30,000-foot view that we're using, this is their moneymaker. The NCAA tournament is their billion-dollar prized
Now,
gem.
I don't think the exclusion of Alabama is going to hurt their ability to make money from a 68-team field. They can then just go to St. John's or whoever's next, and they're still going to make that money.
In this case, it's not just one program doing it.
It's 3.
Well, but what's it like 2 years from now?
Well, that's why you stop it.
If you're going to have this policy.
That's why you set the precedent now
but if everyone,
and ban those 3 teams so they know, hey, guys, there's an actual deterrent. You do this. The whole goal of the season is to make the NCAA tournament. If the NCAA steps up and says you're not eligible for it, people would stop doing it because then it defeats the purpose.
Well, there's also a cap in college football. But I'm saying from the stance of, okay, then we're all going to do it, and so you're just not going to have a tournament.
But they don't want to do it. That's the thing. There's only 3 teams doing it. Every other coach
until they
is talking about how ridiculous this is.
Sure.
And even Nate Oats is saying how ridiculous it is. But as long as somebody else is doing it, I guess I'll do it.
But Chad, they're saying that it's ridiculous because they're doing everything else already.
I think
they're having to recruit 2 different areas.
I'm not a big Nate Oats fan. I think even if the NCAA came back or this was ruled he's ineligible by the court and it was ruled ineligible for everyone, I think Nate Oats would be fine with that. Because he's like, okay, now no one else can do it, so I'm good. And I'll play with my team that I've recruited here, and that's it, and we're good to move forward. And
it starts with leadership of the universities and the donors and boosters that are paying for these guys to then show up and win. I mean, that's what it's about. It's if you throw it out there and you say this is going to help you win a national title, I mean, they're going to do it. And the NCAA is looking at things going at every turn. We have this controversy where we can't do anything. They're saying they have a policy now, and it's about as good as a loyalty pledge.
I think people will laugh at whatever when someone says it, but I truly mean this.
Okay.
I will care less about my team and about the sport if this continues. Like, it's not right now. I still care. It's not 2 weeks from now. It may not be 2 years from now. I am going to steadily check out and not care if this is the sport that we're watching, of just complete mercenary. I'm going to go get a 27-year-old pro from Europe, or a guy who's on the Denver Nuggets bench, or a guy who's playing for the Delaware G League team. If that's going to be the sport, I don't care. I'm a Tennessee grad. I'm a Tennessee basketball fan. I will care less and less and less and less if Tennessee's roster consists of those players. I will care less. I care less already about Tennessee likely losing at Alabama on Saturday night than I would have before if they play this dude.
Well, now I
care less and less and less and less.
I want them to go beat their ass now.
I know I'm not the only one.
Like I want to tune in and just watch the game from that standpoint.
I want them not to show up. I want them to force the hand of the NCAA and the SEC and be like, no, this is bullshit. We're not doing it. Now, Rick Barnes would never say that word. Not anymore. He used to cuss a lot. He doesn't now. So I'll say it for him.
What'd you say?
But that's what it is.
What was the term you used for Nate Oats? Was good golly? I doubt he said
golly gee. I mean, when I was at Romulus High School, I'm giving him a southern accent now too, even though he's from the north.
I mean,
golly gee, when I was at Romulus, man, we had these great players all the time. And I just would hate for them not to have an opportunity.
And they're doing this because
never ever in my 35 years of coaching, Bobby Bowden. Now I'm slipping into Bobby Bowden.
Oh man,
have I ever been accused of foul play?
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to OutKick Hot Mic.
Daily content and more at OutKick Hot Mic on YouTube.